Welcome back, and this is the finale of my Zelda II LP. It's been a long journey, especially with part 7 with all that interesting stuff that I did, extra stuff. I don't know if I'll be doing it for this one, but I might, who knows. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, I'm heading towards the Grand Palace now, which is just a little bit to the left and to the right. No, left. And here's these bloody invisible Moas that I've been talking about pretty much all in part 7, but now they're visible because I have the cross. And of course I have to get hit most of the time there. Just, I don't know, there's a good chance that you get hit, so just take the hit. And this is why I immediately said that this next part with the lava is... I don't really know how you can actually do this without the cross, because those Moas are everywhere. And if you can't see them, there's a lot of pits, and invisible enemies, and pits equals lots of death. And there's one of those blue lizards that throws maces. They're incredibly hard to fight there, so I'd say just forget about them, just jump on their heads. Now there's a few predetermined places. I recommend getting rid of all the Moas before you start jumping here. Because if you don't, I think I demonstrate the dangerous part of that. Especially things that move, that fly. You want to get rid of everything so you do not get hit. In like, I think there's 4 parts. You want to do it pretty much the same way all the time, and you want to use jump because you don't want to mess around. And same with these enemy encounters. You want to try to hit the Moas that are going to get in your way the most. You can just wait until we get all of them, and then that would be great. And the ones with the lizards, I would recommend taking the left than the right, because it's easier to get by them. And here's a pea bag, and the previous spot had a red magic jar. That's if it is needed. Of course, the great thing about this, seeing that it's a wild area, you can actually potentially match it up so you can skip those predetermined areas by going into a regular battle like this and skip them all together. But fortunately I did get lucky that time. And I'm just holding back, just tiptoeing to make sure that I do not get hit. Because this part is absolutely... I've died so many times here. It's not in this one, but previous plays. It is absolutely insane. And we're approaching this cave, which is, like I said, those Moas everywhere. That's why getting the cross in the 6th palace is key. Definitely, if you're doing like a no item run, yeah, I'd say welcome to it. Go for it, because the cross is one of those items you don't really necessarily need to pass the game with. There's ones that you actually do, like the candle, you don't necessarily need, and that's a goddamn annoying noise. That's a really bad noise. I really don't know why I did that, but anyway. And of course, if you ever front, this guy's like nothing. You just pretty much just watch this thing and you do Iron Knuckle tactic. Done. But yeah, you can... I might actually try to do... Nope, there you go. Do I make it? No, I don't. See, that's why you want to get rid of flying enemies over pits, because they kill you. And I think that was death number 3, or 4. It might have been 4, I'm not really keeping count too much. Now this one's changed up a little bit. We have mace dinosaurs instead of spear dinosaurs. I really don't know their names, so I can't really say their real name. You know, I can look it up in post and put it on the screen like I did in the 6th one. And I got a nice squeaky chair, awesome. And, well, okay, we're going to approach the last cave before the Grand Palace, and, well, there's not a lot to talk about the Grand Palace other than pretty much that it's literally a maze. It's more maze than the Maze Palace. Supposedly it's a maze, but it's not. So here we are at the Grand Palace. You needed to get the 6 crystals in each palace to bring that barrier up. If not, there is no possible way you can get through it. I've tried Fairy to go through it. Kills you pretty much halfway through. So, I really don't know. I don't think that's the right way, actually. Yes, I was supposed to go to the left, not the right. Now the enemies in here are pretty much the same as normal enemies, except for these guys, which come in this kind, the knights that jump around that shoot swords, and there's another kind, but I can't remember what it is right now. But everything in here is like on steroids and really tough to beat. Even slimes, they take I think 5 hits on attack level 8. And pretty much here, you go right. Now, I actually did explore the Grand Palace, and I'd say it's a lot of nothing. Like I said in the previous video, you got the magic key, thinking that you're going to open a lot of doors, and, well, there's nothing in the Grand Palace about locked doors at all. And I really hate these guys because, well, they jump around, and 2, their fire doesn't always stay, it comes back towards you. And when it does that, it gets really touchy. I will be going up to those jumping knight guys that shoot swords, and I really can't remember what their names are. And those I found to have a good tactic to I have a good tactic against them, like this one here. Pretty much use up thrust when they jump. And you hit them a good 99% of the time. There might be like a glitch that you don't hit them, but most of the time you just wait for them to jump, use up thrust. Apparently one of a couple things that up thrust is good for. Now there's an invisible walls here, which you can go to the left with, but they lead to rooms that really don't either have a fairy, a statue with those jumping guys, or red magic jars. I just want to kind of get through the palace and see these Octorok type guys. They shoot fire, and you saw in the previous one those fish heads that jump pretty much shoot fire also. See, that's what I hate about statues in this place, because they can reveal these guys. See, 2 hits for slimes. Like, everything's pumped up here. That's why you want to kind of max yourself out before you get to the Grand Palace, because you're just going to be taking forever for enemies. And these blue guys, I don't know, everything's kind of under points except for those red jumping, fiery, breathing statues, which are 200 points, which I have to say are pretty good. But at this time, you should be having everything maxed out, so points shouldn't really matter. And also another enemy, which I think I'll be coming across soon, is giant bubbles. The giant bubbles are pretty much like regular bubbles, like that one. But if you kind of stop in kind of mid after a couple hits, they will split into two bubbles and go every which way. But if you just keep on hitting them, they'll just destroy, and they're worth. Yeah, bubbles are worth diddly squat in this, actually, in the Grand Palace. Now, I'll pretty much talk about what I actually do want to talk about, which is the ending boss, which is, well, you fight two of them. One pretty much right after the other. First one is Thunderbird, which, if you know his pattern, is kind of easy. If not, you're going to get a raining fire hell brought upon you. So, you gotta know how to dodge. And the second one is obviously Shadow Link, or Dark Link. Now, with Zelda II, there's a lot of things that I actually wanted to talk about, is mainly Shadow Link. Now, obviously, in this one, Link is, well, Zelda's rescued, she's asleep, and there's the only other life in the palace, and he has to go to find the Triforce 3, or the Triforce of Courage, which, I don't know, kind of shows that he has to complete himself. Like he showed his courage in the first one, now he needs to show his courage and actually get the Triforce of Courage to kind of prove himself that he is the hero, or Hyrule's hero. I don't know exactly what the title is in this game. But a lot of the thing is that mainly it's the sense of him finding himself in this game. And for NES game, you can pretty much take it as his birth, like it's a side-scrolling adventure game. That's how I view it. I view it as that he's pretty much trying to find himself to prove himself that he is this hero. Even though he rescued the princess, he needs to prove that he is this hero. And I almost died. I love this. I almost died. That's why I hate the moves. So he has to fight the greatest villain of Link. Yes, Ganon is the greatest villain of Link. And I died. Awesome. It's Ganon, but it's also himself. So that's just a kind of view on pretty much how I see this game, is that it's kind of, he has to battle himself. Yes, it's obviously, you know, it's a shadow. And it totally goes into like the whole thing of pretty much, like it would be, like if this was a more of a narrated story, like dialogue, like actual dialogue and story, like if this was made like now, it might have been probably a lot different, but still it would have had more of a story to it. But I see it as that is basically, I want to say that it's kind of leading into like the game Persona, where you kind of, well, at least 4, where you kind of have to battle yourself, or to battle the things that are basically the mirror reflection of yourself. And that's how I see this game as, is pretty much. And I don't know, a lot of things in my life have come down to trying to find myself and fight myself on, is this the right way to do, and all that. So yes, Persona is a great game, and then at least number 4 also, but I'll get onto that later. But this is the game that kind of unconsciously brought me to that conclusion that I like. And you can see it in a lot of the stuff I do, like if you actually check out my channel, other than my LPs that I'm going to be doing. I do a lot of things where you fight against yourself, and you find out who you are. And here, well, obviously I'll talk about the game now. And here's Shadow Link, and he does sort of have a pattern, but other than that, he is incredibly difficult to hit. And actually, there's a cheat way to do where you go in the left corner and pretty much dodge and keep on hitting, and most of the time he will just walk into your sword. But I'm trying to do it legit, and I died, of course. I'm really glad I picked up those lives. But anyway, it's that he's incredibly hard to hit, and that's a Triforce Keeper. Yes, the Triforce Keeper is the one who the king entrusts Triforce the Courage to. Might be a story there, might not. Who knows? So yeah, Shadow Link is not like any Iron Knuckle or jumping guy like that. He has an insane amount of shield range to him. Like, you might hit him, you might hit his head, and it looks like you might hit his head, but no, his shield is there. I'm trying to use the method of actually doing the Iron Knuckle, which kind of works, but kind of doesn't. But also, a fact is that you can defeat him on attack 1, and it will take 8 hits. You can do attack level 8 and defeat him in 8 hits. A little pointless fact there. But here anyway, we go here. I wanted to mainly say that thing about basically fighting, finding yourself and fighting yourself. Because when I was actually playing this again, I kind of thought about that, and the games that actually came after, the games that influenced me afterwards. And that's why Link to the Past, this is why Zelda 2 stands out for me, because, and I'm having a real tough time on this guy. That's why it's really stands out for me as, especially the second game I ever played. And it influenced me so much, and that's why yes, I would say this is my favorite Zelda game. Yes, there's Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, and all the new ones like Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess and those DS titles. But this one is the one that did it for me. And to this day, still my favorite one. And there we go, finally beat him. And there we go, we get the Triforce of Courage by beating oneself. And here we have the NES equivalent to the ending. We got the complete Triforce with all 3 pieces in an NES game. Unfortunately, I'm still shielded, which is interesting. And now I'm not shielded. And here we have the Zelda. Not the Zelda we rushed in the first one, like I stated, but the first Zelda. So how she knows about Link is beyond me. I have no clue. But apparently she kisses on the first date. So, who knows? Yes, I read a nice thing about the Zelda. Pretty much, I don't know, I think I might link it, but I might not even mention anything about it. And here we are with the notorious staff credits, where no one uses their real name. Because back then, NES programmers didn't really want to be known, so they used different names, which I can actually relate to, because, there weren't a lot of people. You might have the same couple people doing the same thing, and you don't want your name up like 5 times, but still, that's there. The sound composer actually is not the same as all the rest of the Zelda games. This is actually a different sound composer, so that's why probably the music is slightly different from the first one, and the rest of the series, basically. But here, they give you the option to pretty much, it's not a second quest, but it's kind of play through, but you got all sorts, you got all your stats, you have to get your items again. So that's it. That's my conclusion of my Zelda 2 LP. And that's it. We'll see you the next one.